The fuse on the battery cable of this Expedition has been completely corroded. And lucky me, I get to be the one to replace it. Now the first thing I do here is loosen up those shrouds, and they have little Phillips head. They're like little push pins. I use the Lyle battery terminal puller on these because they are so corroded that they're just stuck on there. And to replace this fuse in that positive cable, we have to replace the entire battery cable. So this is a bit of a long one. And you see how that battery puller works, like any other 2-jaw puller, except it's a little smaller, and it's designed to do this job. It's also what you use for windshield wipers. And that positive cable actually came off real easy. But in the meantime, I am actually removing this top engine bay cover. So next I took this cable off the fuse box. In retrospect, I don't know if this was crucial, but this is my first time doing this. So kind of figuring some things out as I go along here. But I believe that was a 10 millimeter. So there's that battery removed. We're going to end up completely removing this battery tray. We're going to zap those 3 10 millimeter bolts out. And you can see here, I'm having a little bit of trouble trying to get that thing out. But in the meantime, here's a ground strap that goes to the power steering. These things have electronic power steering. And you take those ground straps off. Whenever you're taking these things apart, if you can, go ahead and put the bolts back where they go, and it'll save you a little heartache for whenever you're going back together. So now I am removing that nut because you have to actually pull all these cables down through there, and there's all kinds of octopuses of tubes and wires. So looks like a 10 millimeter. You're going to take that terminal off and that fuse off. The one for the terminal is a 10 millimeter and the one for the fuse is a 13 millimeter. There are 2 connectors you have to remove on the negative side of that battery. You have to remove that upper radiator hose, so you will make a mess on the floor if you don't have some kind of catch bucket, and you have to take that hose off to actually get that battery box out. So here I am spraying that hose down with some silicone spray, and that's just going to make it easier to get off of there. And I don't like working hard, so I like using this silicone lubricant because it helps stuff come off real easy. I'm using the right angle pick here to kind of hopefully break it up a bit, and then I think I just pull it off with my hand. So there's your washer pump motor, and you're going to take that and that other connector off. That's a fluid level sensor, and you're going to take the connector for the level sensor off, and you're going to take the motor completely out to get this battery tray out because it's connected to the washer reservoir. So to get that reservoir out, it's actually just stuck in there with a rubber grommet, like a seal, to keep the fluid from leaking out. But you're literally just going to pull on that motor assembly and it's going to come right out. Be careful because again, you will spill washer fluid. Luckily for me here, I did it without making too big of a mess. Made it through the can on time. It's a bit of a struggle trying to make it through all that mess to get these battery cables out. Now you're going to take this intake pipe off because we actually have to take the pipes for the turbos off too in order to get this out. And sorry for not mentioning this sooner, but if you have a 4x4 truck, there are going to be a few extra steps involving lowering the differential. This is a 2-wheel drive. On that tube with the gray end there, you're going to have to take that off and that gray end twist and you can pull it off. Now I actually jumped around a few times and I'll show it in the video, lowering the truck and doing some different things. Again, just trying to figure some stuff out. But at this point, you can go ahead and remove all the shields from under the truck. And so to get that front one off, there are little tabs that stick in on those white pieces and you can turn them and they just pop right out. So there's all my shields off except for the one covering the oil filter, but that'll need to come off too. You'll have to detach this pipe that goes to the turbo from that mounting bracket, and it kind of just clicks in, so you'll have to pop that tab out. There are the two pipes that go to the turbo, and you'll have to loosen up those hose clamps, and they're not too bad coming off. But this is looking down from the engine bay. They're really easy to see, a little tough to get to. What I like to use is this Titan swivel head ratchet. This is the perfect tool for reaching in at those hose clamps. The best thing I've found for them in a lot of situations. I love those things. And we're going to use them again here to get these hose clamps off. And here I am just showing you that those pipes from the turbo are removed. And it's a little tough to snake them out. You're going to take that coolant line off in order to get them out. And it might be a good idea to slide that hose clamp down because these things like to fall off and then you don't know where the hell they went to. So maybe slide that down there so you don't lose it. You're going to remove the power cable from the alternator. This is actually connected to those battery cables, so it's all the same cable. So you'll just pop that cover up and then it's a 13 millimeter. Here over on the passenger side of the truck, this is at the front behind those tubes you took off, but there's a ground cable and then there's another ground cable up in that area. It's really tough to get to, but you got to take it off because again, it's all the same cable. It's all connected together. You're going to take off all your connections on the starter. And this battery cable has a bracket that goes along the same bolt as your transmission cooler. So you'll have to take that bracket out and you'll have to move the transmission lines aside and then that bracket will come off. Over here at the steering rack, there are going to be some connectors and a power wire that you have to take off. And I had to remove that sensor up there, the one I'm pointing to right now, in order to get those cables off. So remember to put that sensor back in if you take it out. And there's another plastic bracket that sits along the bell housing, and you'll have to remove that as well. It wasn't bolt on or anything though. I just pulled it off with a metal trim tool. And that second plastic bracket is actually on the front cover, not the bell housing. You can see it kind of sets on that metal ear. And this one's also really hard to see, but there's a connector on top of the AC compressor that you had to take off in order to get this battery cable out. And that's up towards the frame. That's where those battery cables run. You can see I've already got a good bit of everything pulled out, and we're going to pull it down right through the bottom. And this is me kind of showing you that. You just got to work it around everything. I ended up taking that part of the fuse off to give myself some more room to work with. But yeah, after you have enough room, you can just shove everything down there. Sorry if this one was a little bit confusing. There are a lot of things in a lot of tight places. There, the battery cable is completely out on the ground. But I hope you got something out of this if you're trying to do this. It's a pretty tough job, but all you got to do is really follow the lines and you should be all right. Thanks for watching.